Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard number 335N. This is an automatic door bottom by National Guard. And this video is going to go through what an automatic door bottom is, where it's used, why people might want to use it, installation, how to measure for it, etc., etc. So first of all, automatic door bottoms are exactly what they sound like. They automatically close or seal when the door is closed. It's that simple. And there are a couple of different types of these, but let's go over this one first. This is called a Mortise Mount. This is intended to be mortised into the bottom channel of a wood door. If you're going to be doing this yourself in the field, it's quite sure that your door is not fire rated. If your door is fire rated, don't attempt to do this. You're going to destroy the integrity of the bottom of the fire door. That's for sure. So if you have fire doors and you have these 335Ns or any other Mortise type automatic door bottom from National Guard specified, order your doors specifically machined for this. If it's not a fire rated wood door, no big deal. The Mortise type differs from the surface mount type, and there's a link below this video to the product brochure, which shows reference to nothing that's surface mounted, only a larger sort of model that is used by National Guard as well. And then the Mortise type for a hollow metal door, that 320, that's a very typical one used for installation in the inverted bottom channel of a steel door. A surface mount model is basically just a rectangular aluminum extrusion with all of the inner workings stuffed inside of it so that you can surface mount it to the bottom of your door. And if mortising the bottom of your door is not practical, you'll want to look at National Guard's catalog of automatic door bottoms and review all of them. And below this video is indeed a link to the National Guard catalog page where you can then fire up the catalog for them. Also from that link to the catalog cut sheet, you see some very important sort of notes there. Use with a threshold for maximum sealing capability. You'll want to have something attached to the floor for this to communicate with. Nylon brush recommended for carpet applications where no threshold is provided. Bristle or brush seems to contour itself better over an irregular surface. A lot of people like brush because its ability to kind of just get itself into the nooks and crannies, so to speak, and still seal, shut out light, etc. Specify the exact net length required to avoid field sizing. We'll talk more about that in a moment in the next note. End caps are available as well. You'll have to specify that. We'll talk why those are appropriate. So an automatic door bottom seals automatically when the door is closed. Now take note of this end of the unit. You see you've got your outer aluminum housing. You see you've got what is called your drop bar with the inserted neoprene into it. And that N in the part number means neoprene, a very durable synthetic rubber. Now take note of the opposite end. You've got the same stuff, but one additional piece, and that's the drop screw. I might refer to it as a plunger. So these sides differ. One has the plunger, or the drop bar bolt. The other does not. This is also known as the hinge side of the door. Only the hinge side. And this is known as only the lock side. Now, imagine once you have this installed, and we'll go over machining in a moment. This is projecting out of the edge of your wood door. Well, when the wood door gets into its last few degrees of the closing cycle, this plunger makes contact with the rabbet of the frame. As the door is continued to be pushed closed, this has nowhere to go. The frame's not moving. And the only place it can go is in. That bolt is connected to a flat spring assembly inside of the housing that when it's pushed, it compresses the flat spring, making it belly, so to speak. And when that happens, and I'm going to use my finger here to represent the plunger being pushed down, you can see it drops. Also take note that it doesn't drop evenly, and that's by design. So when that door is closed, it drops. Now, I'll use my thumb to represent it coming in contact with the sill, so that when it makes contact here and it's stopped, the other end comes down as well when I limit the other end. So the action of the automatic door bottom is more like a guillotine blade, so to speak. It drops till it stops, then the rest of it comes down, making it an elegant solution, especially in instances where you don't have a sill that's exactly level. Also elegant in the fact that when it seals, all it's doing is pushing down. It's not scraping, dragging across a floor, marring the finish of a high-polished wood floor or marble, out of the way of a rug or a carpet or some kid's shoe that he left in front of the door, speaking from actual experience. Giving you an expected lifespan of a very long time, because there's really no wear and tear other than just pushing down all the time. Now, they said on the link to the catalog, or in the catalog page, order it to size if you can to avoid field sizing. The reasoning is, if it's 3 foot or longer, you've got about 4 inch to cut down to play with. Okay, no more than that, because you will, if you were to cut further than that, you'll destroy the inner mechanism that's in here. While it's simple, it still can't be touched. I'm a fan of ordering it the actual size that you need, because National Guard is cutting all these pieces to length anyway. They're all made to order every single time. So 36 inch long doesn't really suit any door that I can think of, unless it's, you know, a typical full and square wood door, sure. But it's usually not the case. So if you have need for a custom length, by all means, order the actual length you need by indicating in the comment field what length to actually cut it back to, or to manufacture it to and to ship it to. You want to eliminate having to cut these because they're not, you know, they're not easy to cut in the sense that you've got parts on the inside that that are moving. Okay, if it's shorter than 36 inch, you absolutely must order it the net length so that they can account for actually what length it all needs to be. Don't plan on field cutting it in that point. Now, assuming we're going with a non-rated wood door, how to mortise for it? Well, I've mortised for these a lot. And how I've gone about doing it is I would have a large plunge router, you know, heavy horsepower plunge router, 2.5 horse. To the base of that, I would take a very large aluminum angle, and I would bolt that down to the base. And in a shop setting where you'd be doing, it would be expected that you would do more than one of these, you would make a fixture for it. And so in my case, I would remove my base, I would bolt a large aluminum angle to it such that when I took my router and I tipped it horizontal, the face of that angle is making contact with the face of the door. And you want to protect all that so you don't mar the face of the door, such that the center line of the 2-flute carbide bit that I'm using, okay, is the exact center line of where I want the mortise to be. Okay. Now, ideally, you're going to, you know, they've got 9/16 here for the width of the body, the head of the body. 5/8 by 1 9/16 is the mortise that they're looking for. So ideally, you'd have a 5/8 2-flute carbide bit, plenty long enough with the cutting edge. You would get that on there, and you would rest your tool down at the top of the door, and you would just slide it across and make that channel 3/16 deep at a time. And you would continue that process until you had it right. If you're ordering doors from the factory, don't worry about it. They've got the equipment most likely to do it. But if you're going to do it yourself and you expect to do more than one, I say take the time and make the template, because the end result is so much nicer when you've got fixturing happening. Now, sizing the door. This sort of item, because it's mortised, is going to reside underneath the door and fit within the space between the two rabbets of the frame. So you're going to really want this to be about the exact size of the door so that your assembly flushes off to the end of the door. Okay? You might make it a 1/16 of an inch less. You might want to take into account the fact that your door might be a little bit beveled. You know, because your door might be beveled, you might want to take that into account a little bit. You might have a 3-degree bevel on the door. You might have to get in there and file it down, or just order it, you know, a little bit shorter, and you'd be in good shape. And that's how you go about doing it. Now, installation. You've got your door down and you've mortised it. You're now going to take this, and you're going to get it screwed down to the bottom of the door, and you can see that in the flange here there are holes for the screws, and of course the mounting screws are included. Plenty of these. Now, the plunger. as you turn that clockwise, it's further into the housing. The amount that the plunger is extending from the housing itself is directly related to the drop. 3/4 inch maximum drop is what this unit can handle. So if you had a 3/4 inch undercut, a 1/2 inch threshold, that's a 1/4 inch theoretical drop. This is plenty to handle that. So as you get it installed onto the bottom of the door, turn the plunger in. It's got a slot for a screwdriver. Get it all the way in to about 1/8 of an inch. Get your door hung, obviously on the hinge side only, and then start to test your door. You'll see that when this makes contact with the rabbet of the frame, and speaking of that, there is a strike plate included. You'll use a screw so that every time this makes contact with your wood frame, it's not going to create a divot in your frame. You want it to make contact with this thin piece of aluminum sheet metal. You're testing the door now, watching for the drop, turning it counterclockwise to get it out more so that you can bring it down further, making it such that all this does is make contact with the bottom. You don't want too much pressure on the plunger, forcing that to be pushing down too hard, because as soon as you start the opening cycle, you want the tension on that flat spring to basically be removed and the unit to start to retract back up into the housing. You don't want to have that housing extended, the drop bar extended down as you're opening the door. You'll destroy the interior components of the item. Now, there is a link below this video to the installation instructions, and I've kind of just, trampled all over that, going through that. But let's just view it quick. Step 1: cut door bottom to exact net door width. Do not extend drop bar while cutting. Do not cut from end with adjusting rod. Maximum cut 4 inch, 3 foot or longer. Otherwise, if it's shorter, order it from the factory. Step 2: mortise the bottom of the door. They're coming with 11/16 wide, whereas the image that they have on the item itself shows 5/8. I would measure that. Let's measure it now. You don't need a lot of play inside of there because you're going to be mortising it with a router. Yeah, I mean, that's 9/16. I would say 5/8 is plenty. But given the fact that you have a very wide shoulder margin here of 1 5/16, you've got some play with that. 1 5/8 deep. Install door bottom with adjusting rod at the hinge side of the door. Set adjusting rod for proper seal. To reduce drop, turn the adjusting rod right to clockwise, right to draw it in, left to increase it. Once hinged end of drop bar makes solid contact, other end will drop, maximum drop 3/4 inch. On wooden frames, install that small strike plate. So we've gone all over all of those instances. Now I find these door bottoms elegant solutions because they're very long lasting, effective. They don't take up any space underneath the door when the door is open. They're also concealed. You never see it. And if there's ever been a complaint about these, if I've sold 10,000, there's been one that a person has complained. And that complaint, and I only mention it because I'm aware of it, you can hear that clank back up. That's true. You do hear it. National Guard also has models that allow the deadening of the contact of those aluminum pieces clanking against each other. And yes, you do hear it. However, in commercial sorts of applications, industrial applications, that is a non-issue. That one was a residential application that I think at any decibel level it would have been too loud, quite frankly. But the truth of the matter is National Guard has other models that you can view that will feature an insert of a deadening material in there. They are naturally more expensive and typically heavier duty, and the 335 is a standard caliber sort of item. But you see these all the time in applications that require it. Very cost effective and very effective, period. So if you have any questions on the National Guard 335N automatic door bottom or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.